and today I'm going to show you how to recreate a minimalistic resume using Figma. So Figma is a really popular UX and UI design tool, and it's okay if you haven't used it before because I'm going to go over all of the basics. So I'll show you how to use frames, lines, shapes, alignment, and transparency, which is really all you need to recreate the resume that you see on the left. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you'll want to do is familiarize yourself with this leftmost on the top navigation bar. You'll see an icon that looks really similar to a grid. Go ahead and hover over it, and it's called Region Tools. When you click on the drop-down, you'll see two options, Frame and Slice. So go ahead and click on Frame. When you do that, you'll see different templates appear on the right-hand side. So you can design for a phone screen, a tablet, desktop, watch, paper, or social media. We'll choose paper, and we'll go with the traditional size, so a piece of printer paper, A4. There we go. So now that the template is there to work with, it's already selected, you can tell because it has a blue outline. We're going to go to the left-hand side and just rename it in layers. This isn't a necessary step, but it will help to find the item when we are looking for it. So let's just call it Minimalistic Resume. There we go. Okay, so let's get started on work. The first thing you'll want to do is look at how the inspirational resume is designed. So it has 4 different sections: a header, education, work experience, and skills, and they are divided with thin lines. So let's go ahead and recreate that. We'll start by just recreating the lines. So right next to where you found the frame, on the top left, the next icon is for shape tools. Go ahead and click on Shape Tools and look for Line. Click on Line and drag the line anywhere on the screen where you want the line to go. Don't worry if it's not perfectly straight. So now that you have a line, on the right-hand side, you'll be able to see the coordinates, the width, the height, and the angle. You can change the angle to 0 there to make sure it's straight. The next thing I'm going to do is use Figma's inbuilt alignment tool to center it. So you can see that when I'm moving the object, there's a red line that's guiding me. That's letting me know that it's in the center. Now I'm going to change the color to this transparent gray color that I'm using on the left-hand side. So all I'm going to do is select the object, and on the right-hand side, I'm going to see Layer and Stroke. I'm going to just change the layer to 50%, and you'll see that it has this grayish tint instead of the black that it was before. There's a ton of different features and functionality you can do with messing around with opacity and transparency, but this is just one of them. You can also just change the color by going into Stroke, clicking on the color, changing either the hex code or from the color palette. Line there. Let's go ahead and write some header content. So again, in the top left corner, find the T, looks like a text icon, click on Text, and just click on where on the screen you want to start typing, and just start typing. I'm just writing my name. I'm also just going to move that to the center so you can actually see it. And I'm going to make it bigger. So I'm going to make it 36. Again, I'm going to do this by selecting the text, going down to text, changing the font size. I'm going to make it bold. And I'm just going to move it back onto the screen so you can see it. There we go. Now, for position title, I'm going to do the same thing. And since most of the font formatting is the same, I'm just going to copy and paste it. So Command-C, Command-V, I am on a Mac, so that is how I copy and paste. So now that I have that, I just dragged it downwards so it would appear. So now I'm just going to double tap to change the content. Just going to write position title. Now I'm going to highlight all the text so I can go down to text on the right-hand side and change the font size to 18. And I'll move that downwards so it's a little cleaner. So now that I have this selected, I'm going to the fill section on the right-hand side, and I'm going to go ahead and change the color. So again, I can just use the palette they provided, I can change the hex code, or I can use this eyedropper tool. The eyedropper tool allows me to choose any color on the screen and use that color to be applied to any object. So I have selected my position title on my minimalistic resume, and I chose the color from my example resume, and it has been applied. And that's all it is. I'll show you how to create the content on the right-hand side of the header. So again, we're going back to the top left navigation and we're clicking on text. Create a text box wherever you want the content to go and start typing. City, state, and you'll see that it has the same font formatting as the last used text. So we'll change that by highlighting all of the text, going down to text. We're going to make that from bold to regular, and we're going to make the font size 12. We can go ahead and write the rest of the information. So telephone number, we'll add an email, and we'll add in website. And you might notice that the T, E, and W are bolded. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the T, and I'm going back to my text on the right hand side, and I'm changing it from regular to bold. I can also use a keyboard shortcut, so I can highlight this, and then use Command B to bold it. Do the same thing. And now I'm going to highlight all of the text, and I'm going to right align it. How I'm going to do this is going back to the text section. At the very bottom of the text section, before you see fill, you'll see the option to text align left, text align center, and text align right. So go ahead and click on text align right. The very last thing is to use Figma's inbuilt alignment tool to align this to the right hand side and next to the name header. There we go. That's all it is. I'm going to add the education, work experience, and skills section. We'll start with education. So education has the same header style as position title. So go ahead and copy and paste that, Command C, Command V, and just drag it downwards. Let's go ahead and double tap and change the name from position title to education. And now we'll start writing some content. So again, on the top left corner, look for the T for text, and click on the screen where you want the content to go. University. Again, it has the same font formatting as previous fonts, so let's go ahead and change that. So right hand side, go to text, change the font size and color, and we're just going to move that approximately where we might want it to go. And let's continue typing. University of Washington, Seattle, that is where I got my degree, and my graduation year. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. I'm going to do it using a different method, so I'm actually going to select the item, and then I'm going to press Alt and drag the item downwards. So that is another way you can make a copy of an object. I'm going to go ahead and change the graduation year, and then I'm going to create some text. I'll actually just copy and paste this and move it to the right hand side. So again, I'm just pressing Alt. I'm going to make this a little bigger, and I'm going to write my major. Bachelor's of Science in major. Also going to write any description. So this is where I would mention my GPA, courses, relevant clubs I was part of, honors, etc. As you can see, Bachelor's of Science is bolded, so I'm going to go ahead and bold that. I'm going to copy and paste it using the Alt method, and using Figma's alignment tool, just drag it down to where I want it to go, and change the name to Master's of Science. You can use this for whatever education you have. If you just have a bachelor's, that's fine. If you want to include just your high school education, that would be completely fine as well. So yeah, that is how you do the education aspect of this. Now, what you'll notice is that there's a little timeline-esque icon here. So how we're going to create that is by using lines and circles. So all we have to do is go to the top left corner again. This is going to be your best friend. Go to Shape Tools and choose Line. All you have to do is now drag that line approximately where you want it to go. And again, it's okay if it's not perfectly straight because we can go to the right hand side and change the angle to 90 degrees. Perfect. So now we're just going to change the color. So how you're going to do this is by selecting the object, going to Stroke, using the eyedropper tool, and changing the color to the color of this line. There we go. So now the only thing left is to create the circles. So again, back to that top left navigation, click on Shape Tools and find Ellipse. So the really cool thing about Figma is that if you are creating a shape while holding down Shift, it will create the perfect shape. So if I'm creating an ellipse while I'm holding Shift, it will create a perfect circle. So there you can see a perfect circle. It's a little too big, so I'm going to go ahead and change the size to maybe 6. I can also do this on the right-hand side where you see width and height. So now I'm just going to drag this to where I want it to go, say I want it to be there, and I'll create a copy of it. So I can do it the same for my second education. There we go. Go ahead and start on the work experience section. So I'm just going to start by copying and pasting the line. This will just act as a divider. I'm using Alt. There we go. And I'm just going to copy and paste the header as well. So I'm going to double tap and change the wording to work experience. And I'm just going to copy and paste the text that we already have since that's in the same format that we're looking for. So Command C, Command V, and then move that downwards. There we go. So the information we'd probably want to include is the company name, location, and the time period. So start year, end year. You would probably want to include your position title and just some text of what you did. It can be in bullet points, hyphens, or a paragraph. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste the lorem ipsum text just for the sake of this video. There we go. It is all bolded, so I'm going to go ahead and select all of the text and press Command B to unbold that. And you can notice that this is actually a little bit longer than this is. So I'm going to go ahead and make that a little bit longer as well. And then I'm going to edit both of these accordingly so it's at the same width. And you can see that Figma allows me with the X's to see where it's aligned and if the width is correct. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is actually select my company name, and then I'm going to press Shift and select another object. This allows me to apply the same function to multiple objects. Once I have this, I'm going to right click, and again I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to press Control and right click, and I'm going to click on Create Component. You're probably wondering why I did that, and I will explain in just a second. Now that I have a component, I'm just going to move this off the screen, and I'm going to call this Experience. I'm just going to say EXP for Experience. I'm going to copy and paste this, so Command C, Command V, and move that downwards. And let's do that again. Let's just have some multiple. One more time. There we go. So now you're probably wondering why I did that. So I did that because if you have a component, your original component is known as the master component, and it allows you to make a change that will be applied to all of its children's component. So if I want to go to my master component and change this font size from 12 to 11, that will be applied to all of the following children. It doesn't work the other way around, so if I take out some text from here, it won't affect any of the other children components. And I can also, it kind of acts like a grouped selection, so I can go ahead and just move that accordingly to where I want it to go. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the spacing for this is a little bit off. So how we're going to fix this is, one, by making sure the text boxes fit accordingly, which you just have to do by selecting the object and moving the box up, and two, by selecting multiple objects. So you select an object, press Shift, select an object, Shift, select an object, and going to the top right corner where you'll see different alignments. So we're going to click on More Options and click on Distribute Vertical Spacing. So all that did was equally distribute these three from each other. Finish up the details by adding in the same line, timeline-esque icon. So I'm just going to copy and paste the line. So I'm going to start somewhere around there, and I'm just going to make it a little bit longer. Again, it's okay if it's not perfect because we can edit it. Actually, I'm going to want to end that somewhere there. So let's make that 90 degrees on the right-hand side. And let's also copy and paste the circles. So I'm just going to press Command C, Command V, and using Figma's alignment tool, I'm just going to align it with the company name. So Command C, Command V, drag and drop, Command C, Command V, drag and drop. Perfect. I'm just going to move that so it's a little more aligned. Perfect. There we go. And now I'm just going to add my skills section. So again, that's a line and a header. So I'm just going to copy paste a line and a header, move that downwards, and I'm going to call it skills. There is a little too much space, so I'm going to move that upwards. I can go ahead and do that with all of them. There we go. And now I'm going to just write some skills. Skill 1. And I'm going to change it so it's regular, and I'm going to change it so the font size is 12. And I'm going to copy and paste this a few times over. Okay, so now we have 5 skills, and you notice that it's not properly horizontally aligned. So we're going to do the same thing we did for vertical spacing, and we're going to click and select multiple objects. So again, you select an object, press Shift, select an object, select multiple. We're going to go ahead and center that. So let's go ahead and vertically align to the bottom, and then click on More Options and Distribute Horizontal Spacing. There we go. The only thing left is adding in the fine details. So this mini line under Education, Work Experience, and Skills. Just go ahead and do that. So you click on the line. I'm just going to copy and paste one that we already have, and I'm going to move it downwards. On the right hand side, now that I have the object selected, I'm just going to change the width to 25. And there we go. Now, since this is already the size that I want it to be, I'm just going to go ahead. So line 19, Control C, Control V. And let's move that downwards. Let's go ahead and move that to Work Experience. Again, I'm using Figma's alignment tool to know where I'm aligning it. And I'm going to do that one more time for skills. The very bottom. So, there we go. Not entirely perfect, but it's okay. So, there we go. That is how you redesign the resume. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you learned something. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching.